Imagine a city where chaos reigns. Miami in the 1980s was that city. A brutal drug war gripped its streets. A shocking series of events unfolded, leading to 3 mysterious deaths. These deaths puzzled local police initially. But as they dug deeper, a sinister connection emerged. It was linked to international drug smuggling and unimaginable greed. What if I told you the real villains were not just drug dealers? Beneath the surface lurked something far more dangerous. A conspiracy involving rogue police officers started to unravel. These officers lived lavishly, robbing drug dealers and committing murders. Their actions threatened to tear the city apart. To combat this corruption, a brave team of detectives emerged. They teamed up with the FBI to investigate. Their mission? To expose the corrupt officers and dismantle this conspiracy. It wasn't easy. They faced numerous obstacles and threats in their path. The stakes were incredibly high. Deadlocked juries attempted to thwart their progress. But the team remained resolute. They worked tirelessly, gathering evidence and building their case. Imagine putting your life on the line to protect your city. The detectives courageously infiltrated criminal networks. They aimed to gather intelligence on the corrupt officers. As they delved deeper, the truth became alarming. Corruption existed within the very force designed to protect citizens. The officers were not only aiding drug smuggling, they were also directly involved in murders. This stark reality forced detectives to act strategically. They planned intricate sting operations to catch the officers in the act. The tension was palpable as they executed their plans. Each operation tested their resolve and commitment. With every step, the risk intensified. They needed undeniable proof against the rogue officers. They captured damning evidence, revealing the depth of corruption. Slowly, the wheels of justice began to turn. Eventually, the shocking revelations came to light. The rogue officers faced trials, putting the entire system on the stand. The people of Miami needed to know the truth. This incredible story shows that not all heroes wear capes. It sheds light on the brave individuals who risked everything. They fought against a corrupt system determined to protect their community. Their dedication helped restore faith in law enforcement. Miami emerged changed, learning valuable lessons about vigilance and integrity. Remember, corruption can exist where you least expect it. Awareness is the first step towards combating it. The bravery of those who stood against corruption reminds us all. If you found this story captivating, learn more about uncovering truth in society. Subscribe for more deep dives into unimaginable tales. Share your thoughts below. Let's keep the conversation going about standing up against injustice. Miami in the 1980s, a city pulsing with vibrant energy, found itself grappling with a darker reality lurking beneath its surface. The drug trade ruled the streets, where rival factions fought tirelessly for territory, transforming neighborhoods into battlegrounds. Behind the flashy lifestyle and palm trees, citizens lived in constant fear, unsure of who they could trust. The community longed for someone to emerge, a beacon of hope amidst the despair, someone willing to shine a light on the darkness that threatened to consume them. As whispers of corruption spread through the city's underbelly, the detectives knew time was running out. Each moment lost allowed the corruption to deepen its roots, further entrenching the criminals within the ranks of law enforcement. They felt the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on their shoulders. The stakes had never been higher. With impatience simmering in their veins, they gathered for a late-night meeting, surrounded by maps and evidence, determination etched on every face. "We're not just fighting for justice," one detective proclaimed passionately, "we're fighting for our community." As the meeting progressed, strategies began to take shape. One detective suggested a daring plan, one that involved utilizing informants from the very core of the criminal networks. "We need eyes and ears inside," he urged, "to get close to those officers and bring their treachery to light." The room fell silent, each member weighing the risks involved. They knew that betrayal lurked around every corner, but the potential for exposing the rot from within drove them forward. "Our city deserves better," another detective asserted, rallying the team. With a shared sense of purpose, they meticulously crafted their approach, ready to confront the shadows of corruption head-on. With their plan in motion, the detectives began reaching out to trusted informants, carefully considering who could be counted on to provide inside information. They understood that in a world where allegiances shifted like sand, loyalty was a currency far more precarious than any they had previously encountered. Tension crackled in the air as lines of communication opened, each conversation a calculated risk posing the potential for either breakthrough or betrayal. The stakes felt increasingly personal, intertwining their lives with those of the citizens they sought to protect. Hours turned into long nights, with whispered discussions in dimly lit corners and strategic positions secured at crucial points around the city. The team would soon embark on a perilous journey that would test their resolve and commitment to unearthing the shocking complicity festering at the heart of their own ranks. An uneasy alliance began to form as the detectives met with their informants, each encounter shrouded in distrust. In the shadows of an abandoned warehouse, one informant revealed critical intel about a rogue officer's next move. "He's set to meet with a major dealer tonight," he whispered, darting nervous glances around them. "If you want to catch him red-handed, this is your chance." The detectives exchanged knowing looks, adrenaline surging through them as they quickly devised a plan. They could not afford to miss this opportunity. Capturing the officer could unravel the web of corruption and expose the criminals in uniform. With heartbeats racing, they prepared their gear, each knowing that tonight could change everything for Miami and its people. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the city, the detectives moved into position. Each one took their assigned vantage point, hearts pounding with anticipation. With the informant's intel as their guide, they were ready to strike, knowing that the moment of truth was upon them. With a sudden surge of urgency, the detectives carefully monitored the scene, their eyes locked onto the dimly lit alleyway where the rogue officer was expected to appear. The air was thick with tension, every creak and whisper around them amplifying their nerves. As they waited, a flurry of thoughts raced through their minds. This was their chance to reclaim justice not just for Miami, but for every citizen betrayed by the system meant to protect them. The city seemed to hold its breath as darkness enveloped the alley, cloaking the detectives in shadows. Each passing moment felt like an eternity. They exchanged silent glances, gauging the unease that pulsed through their ranks. Suddenly, headlights pierced the night, illuminating the alley's entrance, signaling that something significant was about to unfold. As a car pulled up, the tension peaked, each detective's resolve solidifying into an unyielding determination to see this mission through. They crept closer, voices hushed, straining to hear the faint sounds of a deal unfolding just beyond their sight. The engine of the car revved softly, and the silhouette of the rogue officer became visible as he stepped out, exuding an air of arrogance. With the unmistakable swagger of someone untouchable, he approached a shadowy figure waiting in the darkness. The detectives held their breath, adrenaline coursing through their veins as the exchange began. Words were exchanged and briefcases opened, revealing the stark reality of their operation. The detectives couldn't afford to miss this moment. They had to act swiftly and decisively to capture the corruption in its raw form. As the rogue officer and the dealer began their clandestine transaction, the detectives leaned into their hidden positions, ready to spring into action. One detective, heart racing, raised his hand, signaling the team to prepare for the imminent confrontation. A hushed silence enveloped them, broken only by the rustling of paper and the faint sound of gumshoes on asphalt. Just as the officer reached for a stack of cash, the detectives sprang forward, shouting commands that echoed through the alley. The element of surprise hung thick in the air as they confronted the corrupt officer, each second feeling like a climactic crescendo. "You're under arrest for drug trafficking and murder." One detective barked as handcuffs snapped shut around the startled officer's wrists. In that electrifying moment, the long-awaited confrontation had begun, and the detectives seized the chance to initiate a seismic shift in the battle for justice. "Drop the money and step back slowly," another detective commanded, his voice steady amid the chaos. The streetlights flickered, casting an eerie glow on the scene as the dealer froze in shock, wide-eyed at the unexpected arrival of law enforcement. Fear gripped him, and he stumbled backward, fumbling the briefcase, cash spilling onto the ground like confetti. The detectives wasted no time, they moved in swiftly to secure the area, apprehending the stunned dealer before he could escape. As the rogue officer sputtered an incoherent protest, the detectives felt a wave of triumph wash over them, realizing that this moment was crucial for the city's fight against corruption. With evidence in hand, they could finally bring justice where it was long overdue. The shadows of doubt began to lift. With the rogue officer now in custody, the detectives swiftly regrouped, exchanging energized glances that reflected their collective relief and resolve. This arrest was only the beginning, a significant breakthrough in their battle against the deep-rooted corruption plaguing the police force. "We've got to gather everything we can from him," one detective urged, his voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through him. "Every detail counts." They began the painstaking process of interviewing the officer, hoping to extract the hidden connections that tied him to the wider conspiracy. The stakes were still high, but with each piece of information, they edged closer to exposing the insidious network of deceit that had operated under their very noses. The rogue officer, initially defiant, began to buckle under the weight of their relentless questioning. "You think this is over?" he spat, attempting to maintain some semblance of bravado. "You don't know who you're dealing with." The detectives leaned in closer, undeterred by his threats. They were now on the offensive. "We're not scared of you or your cronies," one detective shot back, locking eyes with the man who had once been untouchable. "You're going to help us unravel this mess, or the fall you're facing will be harder than you can imagine." The atmosphere crackled with tension as they pressed on, determined to pry open the vault of information concealed within his mind. This was the turning point they had been waiting for. The complexities of a sprawling conspiracy were now within reach. Each moment of hesitation from the officer reinforced their commitment to uncovering the truth, inching them closer to a reckoning that Miami had desperately needed. The floor beneath them felt charged with the sense of justice finally stirring awake. The rogue officer's bravado began to wane, his facade cracking as the detectives pushed for more information. "You're making a huge mistake," he mumbled, sweat glistening on his brow. "You have no idea what's at stake." Sensing weakness, one detective leaned closer, voice low and steady. "We know enough. You're part of a system that's broken our city, and it's time to take responsibility. Help us expose the true criminals." The officer's eyes darted nervously, calculating his options in a high-stakes game where time was no longer on his side. I can't just give you names," he stammered, desperation creeping into his tone, revealing the layers of fear dangled within his boasts. "They'll come after me. You think I'm the only one?" The detectives exchanged glances, recognizing the opportunity that lay ahead. Protective custody could be arranged, one detective proposed, feeling the weight of their words as they hung in the air, tantalizingly close to a breakthrough. But first, we need details. Who's at the top of this operation? With the shadows of corruption closing in around them, the rogue officer hesitated, knowing he was teetering on the edge of an irreversible decision that could shape his fate and that of countless others. The rogue officer's breath hung heavy in the air, the tension thick as he weighed the risks and rewards of his impending revelation. "All right," he finally murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, "but you need to understand, this isn't just about me." The detectives leaned in, knowing this was the pivotal moment they had been waiting for. "The whole department is involved, they'll do anything to protect their interests," he continued, desperation lacing his words. "There are even judges and city officials in on this." A newfound determination surged through the detectives as they absorbed the gravity of his admission, realizing their battle was larger than they had anticipated. "You're putting yourself at risk by sharing this," one detective urged, heart pounding with the implications of his words. "But if you want a chance at redemption, this is your moment." As the rogue officer's resolve started to crumble, he nodded slightly, the weight of the truth finally sinking in. "Just remember," he whispered cautiously, "you can't trust everyone in the department. They've gotten to some of my partners already. I'm telling you this because I still believe in justice, but you need to move fast." The detectives exchanged resolute glances, realizing that every second counted. As they jotted down every morsel of information he provided, they understood the fight was far from over, it was just beginning, and Miami depended on their bravery. The rogue officer's admission revealed a vast conspiracy, intricate and dangerous, while galvanizing their determination to dismantle it piece by piece. Tension filled the air as the rogue officer's admission transformed the atmosphere in the dimly lit room. Every detective knew they were on the brink of a monumental breakthrough, their minds racing with the implications of the information. "We need to protect you," one detective asserted firmly, understanding the necessity of ensuring his safety. "Your cooperation is invaluable." The officer shifted uneasily, glancing towards the door as if the walls themselves could betray him. "I want out of the game," he finally confessed, vulnerability creeping into his tone. "But it's not going to be easy." The detectives shared a collective resolve, motivated by the potential to topple the corrupt regime that had coiled around their city. "No one's beyond reach, not anymore," another detective replied, fortifying their faith in justice. "Together, we can dismantle their power and expose the truth." As the rogue officer began to divulge the names of those he had once protected, the detectives realized a glimmer of hope kindled within that murky landscape of deception. This could be the turning point they all desperately needed, reflecting the principles of loyalty and righteousness that ignited their mission. The shadows of corruption would soon have nowhere left to hide. With each name that slipped from the rogue officer's lips, the detectives felt the momentum shift in their favor. They hastily took notes, realizing the implications of this newfound information could unravel the very fabric of Miami's corrupt landscape. "You're doing the right thing," one detective encouraged, his voice steady amid the rising tension. "We'll make sure you're protected, but we need everything you know." The rogue officer nodded, visibly shaken, understanding that the path to redemption was treacherous yet necessary. As dawn broke over Miami, the sun illuminated a city forever changed by the resilience of those who dared to fight against tyranny. The battle wasn't just about justice, it became a testament to the spirit of the community, a reminder that vigilance and integrity could.
New episode of Cops airing every Friday at 8 p.m. Oh shit, it looks like they have your favorite influencer on the Most Wanted edition. Tune in to see what happens next on this new episode of Cops.